What's going on, guys? It's JaxTown here, and welcome back to another video. So recently I made a video on all the Harry Potter movies ranked from worst to best, and because the movies are just so good, I just thought I would continue that with another ranking. This time we're going to be ranking the top 10 best Harry Potter characters in the movies only. Now, I think each character is represented differently in the books versus the movies, so I thought we're just going to keep this to the movies only. Maybe in the future I'll make a video about the books, but I just felt like these were the characters that were just represented so well. I enjoyed their backstory, I enjoyed just the way they presented themselves in the movies, how they contributed and everything like that. So overall, these are the 10 characters I enjoyed the most. So here are the top 10 Harry Potter characters in the movies only. Coming in at number 10, we have Remus Lupin. Now, I think in terms of how significant he was to the whole Harry Potter series, I don't think he's one of, probably not the 10 most important characters, but I just love what they did with him. I think he's just such a good role model to Harry in the third movie, and there's also the fact that he's a werewolf and all the mystery around that. But besides that, I just think he's such a good guy and just such a good contributor to the resistance against Voldemort. He's full of good advice, he has a lot of knowledge, and he's just a really cool guy. And I just think that everything about him was just amazing in the movies, especially in the third one where he teaches Harry the Patronus, and he's also the best defense against the dark arts teacher the school had ever had. I just think overall everything about Lupin is really cool, and I think he was definitely one of the 10 best characters we saw in the films. At number 9, we have Rubeus Hagrid. Now, I think Hagrid deserves to be on this list because he's just near and dear to all Potter fans' hearts. I think we all love Hagrid because he was the one to bring Harry to the Dursleys' house when he was a year old. He was the one to tell Harry he was a wizard. He just really was such a significant character in the beginning and bringing Harry into the world of wizardry. And I think from then on, in every movie, he has a significant portion of the movie. He's in a significant part or two of the movie, but he's not one of the most important characters. But I just think because he's so near and dear to all of our hearts, and he's a funny guy, he's a cool guy, he's just seems like a good, sweethearted guy to be around, and I think that's what makes Hagrid so great. He has good charm, and he's just a nice guy, and we all love him, and he's near and dear to all of our hearts. So Hagrid's at number 9. Coming in at number 8, we have Fred and George Weasley. Now, these two are both deserving of being in one spot because obviously they're twins and they're pretty similar and they're always together. Now, I think the reason why they're not higher on this list is just because they're not super significant to the story. I don't think that they're one of the more significant characters, but I just think that they're so funny and they just bring a great sense of humor to the movies, and just all their lines are just great additions to the movie. They make you laugh, and they're just good people, but they're troublemakers, but that's just part of their dynamic, and they're just really cool characters to be introduced into the Harry Potter movies. And throughout the entire series, they always add something that's enjoyable, and they're just a great comic relief in the movies. So Fred and George Weasley, with their shenanigans, earned their way at the number 8 spot. Coming in at number 7, we have Ron Weasley. Now, a lot of you might have expected him to be a little higher on this list because he is one of the two sidekicks to Harry. He was his first friend at Hogwarts. He's been there the whole way. He's a great best friend to Harry. But I think he is a great character, obviously. I think the story would be totally different without him. I think he's so significant and just a really good friend. But I think that a lot of the characters ahead of him, or pretty much all the characters ahead of him, they just have a little more to offer in terms of personality, mystery, backstory, all that stuff. I think Ron, you know he's a Weasley, you know he comes from a family of, you know, pure wizards, and they've been in Hogwarts a long time, and he's filling in their footsteps, and I think that's cool and everything, but I just think that there are moments where sometimes he can be annoying because he is a little bit of a wimpy type, and sometimes the other characters ahead of him just had better moments, but he's always been that trustworthy sidekick to Harry. He's in the movie a ton. Obviously, after Harry, he might be in the movie the second most often, and so I would say that just because of that and how he's been there the whole time, and he's a good guy, I would put him at number 7. At number 6, we have Severus Snape, the character with possibly the most mystery around him in the entire series. I think that he's just such an intriguing character from the beginning. The first movie, you see that he's staring at Harry and you don't know what his motivation is, what's going on, why is he doing that. And for most of the movies, he seems like a bad guy, but Harry and the other characters kind of realize that Dumbledore hired him for a reason and has trust in him. So they don't really treat him like a real bad guy, but they just know that he's not really a good person. And but they just don't really know why Dumbledore trusts him so much, and we don't really know that until we realize that in the last movie, or the last book, whichever one, we realized that Snape was actually a good person who looked out for Harry, and he was kind of like that hidden guardian for Harry, and he turned out to be a very good person who, you know, sacrificed so much for Harry, and he was just a really good character who was surprisingly funny, and his delivery was iconic, and just everything about Snape and his backstory was great, and I think he was a great addition to the film series. Next up at number 5, we have possibly the biggest underdog in the entire series, and that is Neville Longbottom. Now, I think he was kind of a small character for most of the movies and the books, but there's just something about Neville that is enjoyable. I think he's clumsy, and for most of the movies, he was just always making mistakes, getting himself hurt, getting himself into trouble, and just always finding a way to be that goofball in class that no one wanted to be. But I just think his backstory is really cool because he could have been the chosen one over Harry because his parents were also killed, and it just turned out it wasn't him, but his backstory is almost as intriguing as Harry's, and just everything about him, and you understand, you know, what he's going through. And I just love what they did with him in the last movie, in the last book, where he kind of rose up and helped them a ton. He took out the snake Nagini to destroy the second to last Horcrux, and he just became so significant in the end, and just a great companion to Harry, and he's just an underdog, so we all love him, and Neville Longbottom has earned his way onto this list because of that. Next up at number 4, we have Lord Voldemort. Now, I think that he is a picture-perfect villain in any movie. I think he's an awesome antagonist, and you really understand why everyone was so fearful of him because of his presence, his power, his just how evil he was. You all see that with the way he personifies himself in the movie. I think they did a great job with making him seem really scary, and you can really understand why these Death Eaters followed him because a lot of it was out of fear, especially after the Goblet of Fire, obviously, which is what I'm referencing. When he comes back, his presence and everything about him, the way he carries himself, I would be scared of him too, so I can totally understand why he had all those followers, and he's just a terrific villain. You know, he just says some great stuff, and I understand why Harry and all those guys are fearful of him. Just a terrific villain, nothing more said than that. Coming in at number 3, we have Albus Dumbledore. Now, I think he is an awesome character, obviously, because he's number 3 on this list, but he's just a great role model for Harry. He's such a badass because he just displays his power many times without really needing to, you know, do so many spells, and without the need for a lot of action. You can just tell his power. You can just understand how powerful he really is, and I think that's what's amazing about him. And he's just, again, a great influence on Harry. He cares about all his students. He's a wonderful headmaster, and the fact that Voldemort only feared Dumbledore is what makes him even more badass, because he never really fought Voldemort on screen other than in the Order of the Phoenix, but you can just tell by his presence that he's just in charge. He has that power. So I would just say the fact that he is so strong and the most powerful wizard of his era, and the fact that he's such a caring person about others, especially Harry. He's a role model for Harry, and just the way he contributes to everything in the series. Everything in Hogwarts revolves around his control. I just think he's a great headmaster, great person, and a great wizard. So Albus Dumbledore is number 3. Coming in at number 2, we have Hermione Granger. Now, she is one of 2 main sidekick friends to Harry, obviously, along with Ron. But I think Hermione was just so much more of an intriguing character. I think, you know, obviously she's a genius, and she's just a great friend, obviously, but she's just so significant on so many occasions. A lot of times when they have something that they don't know how to solve, she comes in there and she pretty much saves them or comes up with a solution to a problem that they have, especially in the 7th book when they want to find out how to destroy the Horcruxes and they don't know how, but she figures out that venom from the basilisk snake can destroy Horcruxes, so they find out that the sword can destroy it. So she just always seems to put together the clues and solve the puzzles that they have, and she's just a great sidekick and everything. And I love her growth as a character, because it seemed like in the first movie especially, and then in the second movie and third, in the first few movies, essentially, she is a little bit bossy, and she's kind of arrogant and a little down-putting of others. So she is kind of not the best person in the first couple movies, but she grows, and by the last movie, even though she still has that wit and everything from the first few movies, she's more of a kind person, and she ends up in the end just being a really great witch with a really good heart and just a wonderful character. And the fact that she's Muggle born, her parents both being Muggles, she just proves that you don't need to be coming from a long line of wizards to have knowledge. And just everything about Hermione was just so well represented in the movies, and that's why she's the second best character in Harry Potter. And last but not least, definitely not least, coming in at number 1, we have Harry James Potter, the main character of the entire series, obviously. I mean, I just think he's a terrific protagonist, and he's the guy. You know, everything revolves around Harry, his backstory. We all know it, no need to explain it. It's just, he's a terrific protagonist who you see all the conflicts he's going through and how he grows as a character throughout each movie. He just knows, he becomes more knowledgeable throughout every movie. He just, even though all these terrible things have happened to him, you can tell on the inside that he's just a great guy, and just everything about him is just so great. How they represent him as a character going through all these tough times and how he is the chosen one. And there's just no need to go into more detail. He's just a terrific protagonist to a terrific movie series that we're all rooting for, and he just delivers in the best way. The way he grows from the first movie to the end, how he realizes how powerful he is, and he's also a great person. He has great friends, and his friends all love him for good reason. He's just a terrific protagonist to have in a movie, and he might be the best protagonist that I've ever seen on a movie, the character that I've rooted the most for, and possibly my favorite movie series. So Harry Potter, definitely number 1. Alright, thank you guys so much for watching. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to leave a like and subscribe for more great videos in the future. I would appreciate and love all your support. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you all in the next video.